the children with no voice in borrowed rooms, to the magazines that carry their truth. 25 years of the same steady hand, finding the ones who fell through the cracks of the plan. From Mitcham to Croydon, from London to the world, every flag he planted said, you matter, you're heard, but there's a man who finds you in the quiet.
Yes.
No.
There we are again. How are you, Christina? We're back.
I'm doing good. Yes, we're back. It's been 3 weeks, right? Maybe a month.
Yeah. We're saying, like, of course, I'm trying to get back into my routine of doing my events. As of course, people know, not many realize I was not in my normal space for about 6 months. But I'm back now. So I'm trying to get back into it, but I am tired. I need a rest. I need a holiday. I got my holiday in July.
I don't know, Annie. I think you're breaking. I might be your microphone.
You can hear me though, right?
I can hear you, just a little bit broken here and there.
What I can do, I'll try and see what I can do. I can check the microphone, see if that's, let me see if that works better. I'm sure it works. Right, so I'm using my internal. Right, is that better?
Yes, it's a little louder now.
Okay, so that's my USB camera. I'm just about to buy another camera because I saw one that I like from Cyrus, or that Cyrus has, which is, it gives you a wider view, which I want. Yeah, but it's cool. It's cool. And I said, no. Then I was saying, literally, I'm exhausted. I need a rest sometime. But I got things to do. You know how it is. When you run your own business, Christina, when you have clients, deadlines, you have to somehow find a way to get things done. The rest will come. I'll get my rest in good time, my friend. So don't be too concerned.
Yeah, well, I noticed something was off, so I was like, okay, something is off. But I'm glad you're back, and home is healing, right? So
Yeah,
that's very important.
it's all good. I mean, even when I was off, I was still doing stuff. And I've got to say, I'm about to launch the books that were published in the times that were off. And also, so part of that is, you launch the books, and then we'll work on marketing the books over time, right? I got 3 or 4 books that you're suddenly going to see in front of us. That will need that. I will need you to come and buy, all of you, everyone. Yes. Look, the link to join us today is in the comment section of the event page. We'd love to have you join the studio, especially if you've got questions or insights you want to share. So let's begin our conversation, Christina. Let's begin our conversation, because I think this is an important topic. So the way I say, we live in a world of many channels. If you, how many social media channels are there? Many, right? And people are always keen to say to me, "Oh, you should be here, you should be there." The funniest one I hear, which I think exemplifies my concern about this topic, is someone said the other day, which we know to be true. Oh, you can stream to 30 platforms at once. I'm like, yeah. I'm like, that sounds good, but I don't know. I don't know 30 platforms. I'm only on LinkedIn, Facebook, TikTok, Instagram, and maybe 6 if you add YouTube. So I'm like, why would I want to be on 30 platforms? Well, because if you're there, then then good things happen. Like, good things don't always happen, because my one thing I will say, and I wonder what you think, Christina, is there is no point posting and ghosting on any platform. If I'm not going to spend time there, I don't bother. And I post to Facebook, I post to Pinterest every so often, I post to X, but I don't spend a single minute there. So I expect nothing from them at all, and I get nothing at all, not a thing, because I know I am not being present. Do I copy content across platforms? Yes, I do. I do, because I don't care about those platforms. I say, but I think if you care about the platforms and you want results, you want engagement, you want inquiries, you want people to actually get to know, like, and trust you. Listen to what Christina is going to share today and see what you can learn. Now, let me welcome our friends who are here, the early birds. So, Linda, I see you. Welcome. So glad you're here always. Linda's always an amazing support for all the events that we do. I can't, there's other people here, but I can't see them. Let me quickly refresh my screen and then start my LinkedIn page, and hopefully I can see. It's LinkedIn user, so that concerns me because I don't know who LinkedIn user is. Okay, right. So Christy, stop that. So Christy's here. Tanik is here. How you doing, Tanik? Maybe you are the LinkedIn user I can see on my screen. Kemi is here as well. Sounds like something I need to join. Thanks for sharing information with me, Annie. Yeah, yeah. Look, it's an important topic, and we need to learn how to navigate this omni-channel world that we live in. Christina, I've talked way too much. Let me pass the mic.
That's okay. It's all right. It's good to have an intro. You actually made some important points. I don't know if you realized or not. The first thing, actually, the last thing you said was something about trust. And, why do you do LinkedIn so well, right? So, why are people coming to your events or people connecting with you, asking you to be their book publisher? Because you built trust. You built trust on this platform. So, yes, there is more. There is the beyond LinkedIn as well. So how do you package and distribute what is now a footprint and a brand that you built for a while on one platform in other platforms? First of all, it's not something that you do, okay, I'm going to repackage everything and now I'm going to be on 10 different platforms tomorrow. It's not something that you do in one day. Step one is really decide what platform you want to try and realize, is my ideal audience here? Are they actually here? Or can I build a voice on a different platform other than LinkedIn? Because that's what you've been doing. If you've been on LinkedIn for a while or on any other platform for a while, and now you want to go to another one, what you're doing essentially, you're building a presence, you're developing your voice all over again. And the other thing was, and he mentioned copy pasting your content on other platforms. If you don't care and you just say, well, let's see what happens, you can do that. But uh, it's very likely that they won't do much for you. The results just won't be there. It's because every time you join in different platforms, you're joining a movement, you're joining a group of people, supporters of that platform. They're branded with the culture of the platform, and they do things differently. They have different beliefs, could be different demographics, but it's just a different style of doing things. For example, people that are on Substack, they don't post and write and create content the same way they would do it on LinkedIn. And if they do, the results are very slow. If I want to analyze the two platforms, Substack was born mainly for people that loved writing and they wanted to create an audience for their writing. And then the first thing that Substack did was monetize the newsletter with a subscription plan. But unlike LinkedIn, for example, it's not about how many people are subscribed or how many followers right away, because you don't want to just randomly build volume, because you want to monetize this newsletter. So you want to make sure that people that are actually subscribing, even to the free model, are really interested in what you have to say. And Substack has been operating like that for a long time. I've been a member for years, but I haven't. I'm actually only now beginning to using it as somebody that produces content. Previously, I've been reading my eyes off on Substack because I found great content. Even famous writers are there. Elizabeth Gilbert, is there. So there is definitely a huge. Dolly Parton is there, right? So there is a huge the culture, the type of audience, the quality that you expect is different. So you can't just take your LinkedIn newsletter and copying it there. Actually, you'll see it in the discussions, in the comments. People are complaining that a bunch of LinkedIn people came to this platform and they're using it not the way the culture dictates for it to be used. So the first thing you want to do is really realize who's there. Make friends, like Annie always says. How are these people communicating? Why are they really here? What are their hopes and dreams? Why are they creating all this content? Is there a reason, a philosophy behind it? And if you're listening to this, you're probably listening because you have a brand, you have a personal brand, you have a business, and you know, at the back of your mind, there is always the thing: I need exposure because I need to run a business that is profitable and can be monetized. So, does it mean that is not the platform for me? No, it means that you're meeting a different group of people, perhaps with different goals or the same goals, but that express themselves differently. So that's what we need to understand. It's no longer, ad campaign marketing or this is happening, this is what it costs, enroll and subscribe, but it is, are we made of the same cloth kind of community? And it is on LinkedIn like that. Only we know very well that, if you're listening and you've been on LinkedIn for a while, is that it has been so controversial for the last couple of years, right? Everything starts, good with community. And then when something works, what happens when something works? You realize, I can make a living out of this. It can be monetized. You become a little bit more strategic. But with that, I mean, you're not the only person on the planet. And so what happens is that other people are trying to do the same thing. And if you don't know exactly who it is that you want to connect with and you want to communicate your brand, your message, and your product with, uh, your brand, it's at risk, and it is a risk of being diluted. So before you go to another platform, really learn what's going on there, learn the culture, be there, open the account, post a couple of things, right? Uh, but learn and see what other people are doing and learn what it is that aligns with you and your brand right now. So if you see a conversation or a topic that aligns with you and your brand, then participate in that conversation. Because one thing that is happening now more than ever for businesses is that businesses are having conversations. You know, they're becoming a lot more social. It is social selling, but it's not very different than socializing. So you have to have conversations that are very much humans, and they start with a genuine interest in what somebody else is working on, what somebody else is doing, and then after you build the relationship, I say usually it's 5 to 8 touch points. you can grow a mutual respect for each other, and you can say, okay, I'm actually looking for somebody to support me with this aspect. So that's why you can just, even if you were a rock star on LinkedIn, you cannot just go bulldoze into another platform and expect for things to work immediately perfectly because you had an audience and a brand that is trusted on another. You have to build the same trust somewhere else. And the same goes for, YouTube or, platform like TikTok. They're completely different. So you really have to learn, how to phrase your content, what what's going on there. You cannot just go and copy and paste. Does it mean though that you have to reinvent the wheel? Absolutely no. It doesn't mean that you have to reinvent the wheel. It just means that those are your core topics, but you just have to reframe it in a way that match the culture and the language of the platform. And the only way you're going to do that is to actually be present, listen and understand, and then you'll see that it's going to become more natural to you. So the reason why Annie says, well, I stay here and I don't really go, you know, there is just I'm not there, right? And now if you're somebody that is running their business with a small team or perhaps by yourself, your time is precious. So you can, just try to be everywhere with the same message or spend, you know, hours and hours on the socials and, let's say post and pray or hope and pray that something is going to happen and you're going to get inbound people that are just going to come to you and say, hey, I need to work with you. I need your services. That just doesn't happen like that. So that's the thing, especially when you're starting out and when you're building. So you still have to prioritize the way to do this right. You have to prioritize what your business does and what your business does, what it does, and for who, for whom, right? So you have to prioritize that, and you have to understand how your business actually earns a living. I often say 75% of your daily activities, however many hours you decide to dedicate to your business in a day, whether you're doing it part time or full time, 75% of the effort needs to be on those activities that that actually monetize. It doesn't mean that social media doesn't monetize, but it means that it has to be done with some sort of intent. There needs to be a goal. If you're commenting somewhere on any platforms, because all the platforms want you to comment, you just cannot do it to say hello, I'm here, or very short comments, or comments that are AI, which is the worst thing, super generic AI generated comments just to be visible. Once people notice that you're there and they actually start reading, they realize they formulate an opinion about who you and who you are based on what they're reading. So you want it to have some substance, but you want it to be made out of your substance. So if you're commenting, it's not an ad necessarily. It is the most human aspect of your business, and it is an opportunity for you to say something that makes sense, that is appropriate, that is related to your business, and somehow showcases that you are an expert at it, that this is your subject matter. So comment with that in mind. Of course, it's tempting, if you're having a conversation in the comment to say hi, I'm here, and all that. But then you gotta continue with something. If you want to have a conversation with a friend on social that you know and you met, you talk to them fairly often, do them in your private DMs, or invite them to your WhatsApp or whatever else you conversate privately. But try not to do that in the comments, because that's precious. No matter in what platform you are, that's actually precious real estate. So why was I talking about comments? I'm talking about comments because that's the best way to test any channel, any social media platform. So even if you're not familiar with it, by listening, observing, reading, and trying to discover conversations that are aligned with you and related with what you're building, the first thing you can do is start engaging in those conversations, start commenting, see how it goes, see what kind of response you get, see what are those topics that are taking off because of something you said. And then you can take that and turn it into, a mini post, something else that you're writing, and you can expand the conversation for there. Of course, it cannot be random, right? It has, you always have to relate it to what it is that you're building and your business. So random does not get you anywhere. But does it mean that you have to change face for, every time you go and join a different social media platform? Absolutely not. Uh, we're just talking about language, about approach, the way people behave, the ethics of the platform, and that's something that there is no manual for it. You're only going to learn by connecting with others that have been there for a while and just maybe sending them a message. Hey, I'm liking, what you're doing here. It's similar to something that I'm doing. How long have you been here? So those type of conversations are really what they're gonna get, are gonna get your foot in the door, and they're gonna reveal if this is for you. Are you enjoying the conversation with this new person, uh, business, person that does something similar to what you do, that you just met somewhere else? If they're there and they live there and you're enjoying the interaction, maybe there is a way that you can do it too. But you only gonna find out, interacting with people. One thing not to forget though is those core topics, your framework, your actual business, your actual personal brand, what you actually do. Now more than ever, it's really important that we package this methodology and this framework and we name it. And we might not have done this before, or we probably have done it. We, we probably have had, different names and frameworks and slogans that we used over time, but we didn't pay too much attention for it, or we ran with one for a while and then we'd run with something else because, trends are real, and that's exactly what happens. So what do we do there, right? So I recommend that if you do want to discover what your framework and methodology really is that first of all, you run a search for yourself, your name, your brand, and see if you find any trace of that online. See what are the first things that are, popping up. And then you look at some of your long format content, which could be the newsletter or could be the descriptions of, you know, your last 6, 7, 8 events. Um, and it just takes samples of them and have it, use AI to analyze it, analyze your own content, and just say what kind of frameworks and methodology are coming out of this content that I've been doing. And if you've been doing this for years, I recommend that and you've been pretty consistent, I recommend that you take something from a year or 2 years ago that you written then, and something in the middle, and something that is really recent, and see if there is something, a pattern that is emerging. If the pattern that is emerging is like, oh, that's exactly who I am. Yes, that's it. Well, that's then, and you believe in it and you get excited about it, that that's your methodology. That that's your framework. So what I encourage people to do moving forward is to find out what that is and use it as often as possible in your content so that it is clear that that's what you do and your name over and over gets associated with it. But don't just go and say, not having any luck here on LinkedIn right now. It's kind of, slow. I'm just going to take everything that I've done here on LinkedIn and I'm just going to copy it into Substack, for example. And that's, platforms that have similar things, right? They have what they call notes for short posts, and they have what they call posts for articles. So that's what Substack, does in terms of written content. But you see, if you use the platform a couple of years ago, for example, Substack or Pinterest, you think, oh, I've tried that once, just different. It's not what I'm looking for. I encourage you to take a look, because while you've been busy, you know, on LinkedIn, for example, worrying about all these algorithm changes and how is this not exactly how it was? Should I run to another place? Other platforms have changed and evolved over time. And they have, the reason why all these changes happen in every platform, LinkedIn is not the only one, is because they go with what their audience want and where their audience going. They listen to those comments. They look at those behavior patterns. They look at the social behavior of people. So, for example, 6 months ago, Substack added the capability to go live on Substack, just like you used to do on LinkedIn, and I think you can still do on Facebook. They added that, and it was instantly go live. There was no scheduling or nothing. It evolved. Now you can schedule it. It evolved. Now you can connect your LinkedIn and your YouTube and simultaneously go live there. So for people that are doing live streams, it's like, oh, that's not for me, just for writers and people that are writing things. Well, look at that. That changed, right? So there is a reason why it changed, because there is a market for it. So maybe it's something that, just don't stay under a rock. Really look what's going on there, right? Let me look at what's going on. They even have the capability of doing podcasts out of your written material, out of your newsletter. I was listening to one. It was just AI reading it, but then I think you have the capability of doing your own. So I haven't explored that deeply there. But then again, you have to understand. You cannot say, "Oh, I'm going here, but my growth is so slow on LinkedIn. I have so many followers. Here doesn't nobody's interested in me." It's not that nobody's interested in you. Is that the way the platform grows is specifically designed to grow at a certain pace, because their goal is for that stuff to be monetized. So the only way that stuff can be monetized if people are actually interested. And by the way, that's what's going on with LinkedIn right now. The reason why all these changes happened is because something was wrong. They're too, you have to monetize on your own on LinkedIn, right? But for LinkedIn itself to monetize, they have their subscription model. They have premium. They have premium for business, that the company page, and they have Navigator. Those things, they were not exactly working perfectly for them. And the reason why is because everything was out of alignment. People profiles not updated, what they were posting not really relevant to their headline, and their content in general was very mixed, right? So the product that they have was not functioning the way it was supposed to be functioning, because it was taking the data out of what we were feeding it. That's why they forced the end to say context, relevancy. We're going to show your content based on relevancy, based on what you say you professionally are, and what you say you're professionally interested in, based on what you're engaging with, and everything else that you are creating on the platform. And do you want to add anything?
Many things to add, but we have
Yeah,
a couple
please
of
go
good,
ahead.
we have a couple of good questions as well. Look, you know, Christina, you're one to do many things, right?
No, I
You do,
slowly.
you do news, yes, maybe slowly, of course, but you do many things. I think the one thing I would say is I'm not a great fan of being or trying to be everywhere at all. I found my home in LinkedIn, and I've learned to make LinkedIn work. You mentioned Substack, for example. Christina. There's TikTok. People will tell you I've got loads of fans on TikTok. I'm like, I refuse to go there. My clients are there. I post my clients on there every day, but I don't. My clients, I don't want those clients because I'm not willing to do what it takes to engage them. I think that's the thing, right? Even Substack. It sounds like a place any should be because any does books, and the people there write content. They write. Is a posh LinkedIn these days? Apparently, that's they're trying to make it sound like that. But I refuse. I'm not going. I'm not going. I think we need to be very intentional and very careful what we choose. I'm not gonna go and dance on TikTok. I refuse. I'm not gonna. I got my own hang up with TikTok. I don't want to hang around with kids. I don't want to hang around with jokers. I refuse. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm leaving money on the table. Maybe I am. But till I say no,
No, it's not money, it's not money. And what you say is very relevant. The first thing I tell people when say I want to build my personal brand is start with who you are, right?
mm,
So
yeah,
if you're somebody that is not, I'm not gonna be on TikTok because I don't want to do those dancing videos. That's not for you. That's not how you're gonna build your business. Absolutely not. Same thing. If you're not ready, to produce content pretty frequently, also Substack is not for you because you have to feed it and it grows slow, right? So there is that. But if you plan it, because if there is something there that you do like, and you plan it and you say, okay, once a week I'm gonna participate in those conversations, and I think my customer or my tribe could actually also be there, then that's okay. So that's the thing. You can just what Annie's saying is not wrong, and it is super smart for his business model. He is very comfortable there. He knows that those he supports and help are actually already here, and at this particular time he does not need to go and expand. But it's a multi-channel world, like you said. So he's trying to spread things here and there a little bit, if it's easy enough to do, and that's something that you can do. But I'm not everywhere, so that's the one thing. I'm definitely not everywhere. I am mostly on LinkedIn. Did I try TikTok? Yes. Did I dance on TikTok? No. Did I close my TikTok account? Yes, I closed it for political reasons. But so that's the thing. Am I on Facebook? I have an old Facebook account. I don't have the patience for it. Why? For me personally, I'll tell you why. Not because I think people in there are joggers, but because it takes too much time for me to sift through the conversations and understand how I can fit there and filter my right audience. So I already know that Facebook is not really for me, right? I made the decision, and I think that potentially there is some alignment with Substack, but I'm not running and doing, a month, I think a year ago, there was the big exodus from LinkedIn to Substack, right? And the thing is, I'm actually not interested in connecting. I mean, if you want to connect, great. But the reason why I'm on Substack is not to build a network made out of my LinkedIn friends and connections. I want to discover new people there. So that's the thing. And it doesn't mean that they're from a different country. It just means that they started building their personal brand there because it was comfortable to them. They were naturally, they loved writing. They loved to be faceless. They like to put their writings there. So those type of people chose that particular platform. Now I understand, after observing, for that reason. I love Pinterest, right? And I am only now beginning to adapt it to my main brand. But the reason why I love Pinterest is because I was using it for something completely different. Uh, Before I did what I'm doing today,
So you kind of
I
cross.
was running several print on demand businesses, and Pinterest was the perfect place to promote those designs. So lately, I was able to merge it all, and I was able to merge it all,
Anyway, two more
realizing that what I was
questions.
doing, yes,
Then you
hold
can
on.
discover answers quicker.
Hmm.
No.
And you are on the speaker.
Yeah, we're losing you. We're losing your sound.
My sound?
Yeah.
Okay.
Is it me? No, I can hear you now. We lost you for a second. Sorry. My
Okay.
family
So
do what family do.
okay. So I was just saying, I was talking about print on demand real quick, right? So I was using Pinterest for print on demand, and it was not related at all to what I was building on LinkedIn. So one thing about running a business is that you want different revenue streams, right? So that was my actually that was my main revenue stream before I went to LinkedIn. So, but again, you gotta align everything. So after a while, I realized, okay, I was using Pinterest for that, but now I have a different presence altogether on LinkedIn. How can I merge the two? And that's the questions that we have to ask ourselves if we are in different platforms with slightly different voices. Is there a way that you can merge it? So for me, the way that I'm beginning to merge that is that print on demand can be merged, and businesses need merge. So, as a way to promote your business and your personal brand, you can actually utilize print on demand to create products that people may enjoy, that people may you might give to people with your brand name or your or logo, or it might just represent the philosophy of your business without you putting your logo in it. So, for example, if you are a mindset coach, you might have some, from some journals um, that you can promote with some motivational quotes and some inspiring designs, and it is kind of aligned, and you can explain that that's part of what you do. You encourage your clients to journaling, so that's the thing. And so there is a way that you can connect things. You can right now, the way I'm trying to work my Pinterest is that I'm also creating some boards for business resources, and so I love stuff that business can use, like QR codes or business cards, and I also can pin there some business books or some of the PDFs and books that I've written. So that's the thing. So you really you don't have to be everywhere. You have to be wherever you are with intention. And on LinkedIn itself, there is different mediums. So if you want to practice being on different channels, we'll start with LinkedIn. You can do those posts, right? You can do the carousels, you can do polls, you can do lives, you can do newsletters, and you can do articles. So that's six different things, and I probably forgot some that you can do on LinkedIn, and they work differently. So you don't want to do what you do in an article or a newsletter in a post. It's a waste of time because it's too long and people just scroll through. Uh, your poll also, I mean, you can post content on your poll, but it's a direct question. So you have to really understand how can you catch somebody's attentions with a few words and then get them to vote. And it's an art. It used to be easier. Now it really has to be aligned and deliberate and not sound threatening, because usually when you ask a question, people give you an answer, and sometimes the answer is like, oh, it sounds like you're the perfect person for my business. So there is that. And then there are the lives, right? But lives are not necessarily all video and no written word. So that's the thing. Lives itself require you to describe the event, and then when you post it, it requires you to actually post about it. So it's all connected, and you don't have to start saying I'm gonna do everything on LinkedIn. You can pick what you're most comfortable with, what's working for you. So if somebody like Kenny, for example, his thing is he does lives, but make no mistake, he's creating written content too, because he's posting that event and is describing that event. And then people that are guests in his events are also actually also reposting and redescribing and commenting on those events. So it's not just only solely video, really. There is also a form of that. So one thing that many people that do live events do is that they repurpose that live. So they'll take the interesting conversation that arise and they'll write an article or they'll write a newsletter and so on. So, for example, on Substack, you could do that, and then you could just click podcast and turn it into a podcast if you wanted to experiment, right? But if you want to experiment like that, don't just copy that post and place it on another place because it will feel very unnatural. I know somebody that was doing it and they were talking about LinkedIn, and the first thing they did, they copied hello LinkedIn family to Substack. So literally total cut and paste without even thinking. So really, understand, make people feel seen when you're posting in a platform about them or about something that you believe in by addressing them, and maybe leave the I a little behind for a while. So that's the best thing that I could tell somebody.
I agree with you entirely. I think is knowing what each platform is good at. Partly, I think that's LinkedIn events work better for me. Facebook, now my events go on Facebook and on YouTube. YouTube is more about monetizing YouTube, and Facebook, not for me. But look, if someone comes to me and says, "Any, I want to do ads," what I never say to them? Let's do LinkedIn ads. I never say, look, because I don't believe in LinkedIn ads. It's been cost per click is way too high, and people are not going to look at your ad anyway. I just don't believe in LinkedIn ads at all. Facebook ads now a whole different thing, because Facebook ads essentially they're videos, right? And even though you're not gonna get necessarily the people you want on Facebook, what you're gonna get is eyeballs at a very low cost per click. So now if I'm gonna advertise for my clients, it's always on Facebook, always. So as much as I say I despise Facebook, it's good for something. I mean, it's just knowing what it's good for. And again, Instagram, I'm there. I don't really do anything necessarily great with it. I'm there, right? But I think you have to learn how Instagram works on the hashtags. Think of that. That's how people find the content on Instagram, right? So I think it's just understanding where you are and how it can work for you. Let me welcome Patricia, Maureen. How you doing, Maureen? It's been a year, maybe longer, right? I'm glad you're here. Dr. Lisa, you made it, as Kenny would say. Welcome. Yeah, say hi before next meeting. Next meeting's coming soon, right? There are a couple of great questions for you, Christina. Which it might take you forever to answer, but we have to give it a go, right? This is the same. This is a simple one. I don't know whether it's Christy. I don't know who LinkedIn user is. It's not on my LinkedIn, so it could be on your LinkedIn. I don't know if you even find, but it's a simple question, but it's not a simple answer. Now, so LinkedIn user says, "I'm interested in making content, but I have little idea how to start." I could make it simple for you, LinkedIn user, and say, book a call with Christina, but Christina is very fussy about her diary, and she don't do that anyway. What do you say to our friend LinkedIn user? I'll come to you.
Of
I'll come to
course,
your question, Romana. I see your question. So.
yeah. So yeah, I'll respond. Uh, I'm interested in making content, but I have little idea how to start. Uh, of course, you might already know what type of content you want to create. Uh, what you have to ask yourself is why you're creating it exactly, and what's the goal of this content. The technical part, if you really need some support there, we can talk about it. So I don't know. I am not able to see your profile. I don't know exactly what type of content, but the way you start is start. If you have an idea, something that you want to share, or perhaps you're working on building something, it just starts that way. It starts by saying, I have a goal. This is what I'm setting myself to do. This is what I'm plan to build in the next 3 months, in the next 6 months. And perhaps, that's at least why I started, uh, you know, just as you learn and as you discover your voice, start documenting that. Saying, today I tried something different, or you realize that there is a aspect of about what you're building that it's really important, and it's actually what connects you to your people. So start there, little by little. Take every inch, every idea that you have of what you're building, and start talking about it. Doesn't have to be a huge amount of content, right? It could be 5 to 6 lines. It could be, I'm gonna post a few times a week, or I don't know. I'm very inexperienced, so maybe I'm gonna do it daily as a form of diary. Some people start that way, and then little on, little by little, you that's how you start building your voice and realize, okay, it sounds like some people are interested in this. So people were interested on a sentence or something that you said. Maybe I want to expand on this. And so you might do a longer post, or you might do a graphic with those things. Or you might say, you know what, I'll start a bi-weekly newsletter with this topic because I know all about it. It's actually what defines my expertise, and that's how I'm going to build my voice little by little. So that's, the best thing I can recommend. As of for what Annie was saying about booking a call with me, here's how it works. Uh, if somebody is interested in discussing an idea, or they have an idea for a business, or but they don't know where to start, or they're already in business but they haven't monetized yet, I have an audit. It's free. It's 20 minutes, and what it is a conversation that we're having about the business that you want to build. So there is no charge to that. The only thing that Annie was referring to, I don't do coffee chat just to say, yeah, I'm from San Francisco, I'm from New York. I don't do those kind of talks anymore. Not because I don't love them, but because it doesn't align with my business anymore. With 20 appointments that I get every month, just from onboarding, and I usually work with 3 to 4 clients every month. I don't have the opening on my calendar for those. But it doesn't mean that if somebody wants to, as an idea, they want to collaborate on something, they cannot send me a message and then we'll find the time. But if you do want to talk about your business, I have an audit right there on my feature section on my profile, and you're welcome to book a call. It can be a phone call. You can enter your phone number and I'll call you, or it could be a Google Meet. Back to you, Annie.
I think that's fair enough. Look, when it comes to what content do I create, we're going to end on this line of conversation after we answer Romano's question, right? Now, which look, it's we make it too complicated. In marketing, it's very simple. Think of what you search for online. Think of what you look for. Think of what content you gravitate towards, right? And that content is normally content that helps you to answer a question. I say we're going to talk about this at the end because there's a whole different word that's suddenly opened up, which is talking. We create content for social media. Yes, we do. We create content for your websites, blogs, and things like that. We create content for YouTube. That's videos, but that can go in every platform really. And now we need to create content for AI search engines. People don't want to hear it, but Christina will keep telling them, right? And if you think, when you go on YouTube, you're not going there to go and browse and see what's there. You're going there because you know what you're looking for at best of times. Yeah, some of us waste time looking for our favorite news program. I do, a news channel, right? But essentially, we need to get into a habit of answering our clients' questions. You're not lost about what content to create. The question for you is this: what questions are your clients asking? I publish books, so I have to create more content about books and the questions authors ask. God knows there are many of them. Their authors ask a million questions. Saying, if you just think like your clients do, then you begin to answer the questions. Are they answering a video? Are they answering a blog? Are they answering it in the post? Are they answering a newsletter? I'm saying, no, that's that. We've done the creating content that we like. It doesn't get you anywhere. It gets you, it gets you known, maybe it gets you visibility. But I say now, be more intentional and be hyper focused on your content resonating with your potential clients. Answer their questions. That's the best place I would say start, right? So that's that one. There's many other types of content you can create. You can create fun content. That's what I do. I'm not, I don't really want clients from my posts. I do, but I don't. But I think how do we get clients from search? In relation to social media, in relation to websites, in relation to everything else that we do, Christina. It's a question we're about to come to. But let's talk to Mr. Romana. I like his question. Here goes. He says, I have a niche market. I have podcasts being watched by thousands of doctors, and it helped to convert it into monetary value. I have excellent content, but I need the steps to convert, and conversations are not possible. I'm throwing this at you. I'm throwing you under the bus while I'm here.
Right. Can you display the first
Yes,
part
of course, of
of the
course.
question? All right.
Just
So here's the thing. I don't know. I
remember,
don't know.
conversation's not
Again,
possible. You remember that bit.
I remember that. Uh, so here's the thing. Niche market, good. You know, what the niche market is, right? So you already have a podcast be watched by thousands of doctors. So I am assuming your material is about medicine, science, or I don't know exactly. So I'm assuming. Uh, so you want to convert it into monetary value. So if you, where are they watching it, right? If they're watching it on YouTube, you know that there is a way to monetize the channel. If that's not happening for you yet, or it is slow, uh, because it takes some time to monetize YouTube, then you need to take that content and package it into something that you can sell if conversations are not possible. So if conversations are not possible, something that you can sell. I'm surprised that you didn't get on this, Annie. Something that you can sell is a book. Uh, Something that you can sell is a subscription newsletter. So those are the first steps to monetize. And then, of course, if you have podcast watched by thousands of people, I don't know what it is. If it is on YouTube, you know that you have to grow that channel to be able to monetize it. Now, podcasts, it depends where your podcast is. Is there a podcast, a voice podcast, and it is, for example, on Spotify for podcasters or Apple Podcasts? Because those things, they work on listenership, right? So I don't know if you switched on all the things to monetize. The way those things are monetized is through ads. The more people are listening to your content, the more chances there are ads that the platform of the podcast pairs you with. And so you have to allow that platform to interrupt you and have a 15, 30 minutes, 30, not 30 minutes, or 50, 30 seconds advertisement that is running. And usually, if you do that right, that is relevant. So it could be regarding something that is medical advice or maybe a medical app or something that will run together with your podcast. So those are the ways, those things that get monetized. Those are the steps to convert it. Of course, every person is different. Every niche market is different. And I'm just speaking generically about set niche market that it probably is about medicine. So there are many ways to monetize it, including little aids and graphics and things, suggestions and other things that you can monetize with what do you call digital marketing, maybe through Pinterest. So there are options, but we need to know exactly what we are talking about. You're muted.
Specific, but it's very generic, really. In truth, right?
Hmm.
You know, I've done podcasting before. I say I had 300,000 listeners. In a few months. They're making a single penny out of it, right? And what I've learned from Christina, and what we do in the masterclass, is simply create offers to help your listener, to help your audience. How do you want to help doctors? How can you help them? I said first masterclass, we talked about creating a low value door opener, essentially. A low value offer doesn't cost them much to get involved. Then you can begin to see whether people are willing to buy into your service. Then along the way, you're going to create high value offers. The thing that really gives people what they really want from you. This is about being honest with ourselves. The whole conversation today is about being honest with ourselves. You want to be in the right place, talking to the right people about the right things. All of that. We also want to create offers that people are willing to buy. Many people are very scared to go out to market. They're happy podcasting, Romana, forever because they're not threatened. No one says no. As far as they're concerned. But if they're not buying from you, they're saying no. Take it from me, right? Give them a chance to say yes. That means you have to be extremely brave and create a package. What do your listeners need? Do they need membership to get exclusive content? Do they need, a book like Christina said, something written that they can get advice and they can really see your insights beyond what you share in a podcast? Is there coaching? Is there training? I know you say that you have an issue around what's legal and also time. But I think at the heart of this, my friend, I'll go back to where we started, where I was being funny. You have to talk to your clients. There's no way around it. Relationship conversations with your clients is the key. I don't know any platform where we can't talk to our clients.
It's just a different business.
Exactly. Podcasting is a different way of talking to your clients. Again, your clients can talk in the comments. Your clients, they can message you. They can connect with you somehow, right? Dare to invite them to take. It's called give them a call to action. But start there. Start with put yourself out there and be brave. If they say no, then you learn something. If you get a sale or two, then you're on the right track somewhere. But even then, you might have to refine what it is you're offering people. But everything that we've talked about today, where you are, which platform you're on, what do you share on each platform, it comes down to simply knowing your customers. What do they want? What do they need? What they want is one thing. What they need is something entirely different, right? Again, let me use me as an example. That way, I'm not just talking at you. So yes, any publishes books. Yes, he does. He does. But then you realize that what my clients struggle with is not always publishing books. They struggle with publishing books. That's part of the process, right? But many people can't even write a book. So now we'll help you write the book and then publish your book. That's what I mean by knowing what your clients really need, right? Knowing what they want, what is it they're willing to pay for, and then so after many publishers these days don't think of the client's real problem. The client's real problem is they can't sell their books. Someone came to me the other day, like, will you publish my book? I'm like, okay, just to do you a favor, okay, fine, I'll do it for you. Go and find the money. When you're ready, come back. Right? She messaged me 2 days ago and said, I'm going to publish it myself. I'm like, good on you. Because I was charging too little anyway, so I'm not overly bothered. Really not. Right? For what I was willing to give this, what we give our customers, she was never going to pay me anywhere near enough. So I was going to lose money. So I wasn't, I said to her, good luck with the publishing. But, what I find is that people who self-publish, who do DIY, rarely sell enough books. Rarely. And also they struggle to create quality books because there's no, what does a publisher do? We'll make sure your book's of a high standard. A good publisher would anyway. We care that your book has no mistakes. We care your book's well written. Because I can't sell a book that's not well written. Right? So I said to her, that's where people normally struggle. So given that I know that, then I create offers around, we write your book for you, we finish your book for you, say professionally done, we publish your book. And then the last part that everyone struggles with, selling your book. You come to me because you want to sell your book. And so there's a price for that. I'm saying, Mr. Romana, you know what your clients need. Be honest with yourself. And dare to give them what they really want. Like, if you know your clients, you know what they need, you have the answers. Yeah, package it and sell it to them. That's the answer, right? There's no other way around it, my friend. There's no other way.
Yeah, and actually, I want to support what you just said. Doing the book by yourself. Okay, I'm somebody that did a couple of books by yourself. I did that. My goal though was not to sell a lot of copies. So it really depends what your goal was. My goal at the time was to put my thoughts together and learn how to do a few things and then use those things, for my clients. I wanted them to live somewhere. So that's what was my goal. And I wasn't looking for, achieving fame through my book, right? But I can tell you right now, he is absolutely right. You know, if you want to sell them, that's not the way. If you want a nice, professionally done cover, that's not the way. If you want somebody to actually be a line editor and review what you're writing and make sure that you look, what you want to look like, the part professional, also that's not the way, unless, you are a gifted writer, can write it yourself, and it looks half decent on your own. But chances are, people that are coming to anyone that want to write a book, they also really want to, monetize it and sell it, and they have a specific plan for it. So yes, if your plan is to build authority with it, sell it continuously, make your name for yourself because of the book, definitely go with Danny. I'm done,
Thank
and
you
you
for your
can
kind
you can take
words.
it back.
But
Yeah,
I think
because
we all have a gift. We all know. We ought to know our clients better. The people you want to serve, you need to really get into their heads. That's what we do in marketing. That's what marketing really is, right? And as Christina said, your business relies on you doing things that generate revenue. That means marketing. It means finding a way to talk to your clients, whatever that means. Maybe you can't talk to the ones that listen to your podcast, or go and talk to other listeners in your genre. What questions are they asking? There's ways to find out what people are asking. You can just say, you can use AI to reverse engineer. Christina does this quite well. You can find out what people are saying. The data is there. Let's not pretend it's not, right? But if you don't know how to get it, then this time, book that call, as I said earlier, with Christina. Don't book. If you got a book, come and talk to me. Yeah, if you have no book in mind, don't talk to me. I'm no good to you, right?
So you see, you also don't take the chit chat calls. You also don't take the
Can't
chit
just
chat
we
calls.
have to be
I
choosy.
mean, you just want to talk about the weather.
No, no, don't no. Talk. Come to me if you want to do a book and if you want visibility. You know,
So I had somebody booking a call with me just because they liked my accent once.
that's no good.
There
That's
you
no
go.
good to you. No good to them. No good to anyone, right? Come to
Exactly.
you
So,
know.
or imagine somebody booking a call with you because you live in Cornwall and they love Cornwall.
No, no, I wouldn't do it. Look, the whole point of the coffee chat, call it what you like, is that I want to find out what you do and whether you have a unique solution. You know, yes, I'm being friendly. Of course, I am. We all are. We will have to be, right? That's the relationship part. But deep down, I'm listening out for keywords that says, I've got a book. I need your help. If I don't hear those words, we're not going to meet again. If I hear those words, we're going to meet again to talk business because now to talk about how can I help you. And at the same time, I'm also listening very carefully for how you can help me. How can you help me? So again, I don't find serious people on Facebook. I don't find serious people on Twitter. They want to argue with you about something. I don't want to argue about anything. I'm not interested. I'm just not. That's not me, right? Whereas on LinkedIn, we have conversations around business and around how you can help me, how I can help you. Those are the conversations I want to have. That's the conversations I think you want to have. Our time is precious. Don't be giving your time to everyone because you'll be exhausted and not making any money. I read the book the other day. I'm looking at it here. If you're bored, The Profitable Professional. A friend of mine wrote it years ago. I suddenly realized I wrote the foreword for it, Christina. Very amazing, right? I don't know how. No, I did that when I was very young. But the book has an important point. Every time you meet with someone, it's not there's an opportunity cost. Your time that you're given. If you charge £100 an hour, $100 an hour, I'm saying meet someone for someone that takes an hour at least. By the time you prepare for that meeting, that's another hour. By the time you travel to the meeting and back, if you're doing it in real life, I'm saying this now. That's 4 hours of your day just gone, disappear, never to come back again. So you want to make sure that those conversations are productive and aimed at something, whatever that is for you. You go for it. Josette, Dr. Josette, I see you. We always appreciate your support. Glad you're here. I'm hoping that's Christy. I don't know who LinkedIn you. Yeah, I think Christy is. I don't know, that's pretty LinkedIn user today. I don't know why. So and also Sean is here as well. So I'm late, but you're never late. Anyone gives us a time, I appreciate you and I thank you every time. Christina, we're done, right? But I have a question for you, which I hope you can help us with. You see, now we're writing, like I said, for different mediums. And again, I'm not shy. Yes, I've built a business on LinkedIn, but deep down, I know the numbers. The numbers don't lie. LinkedIn has 1 billion users. The world has 10 billion people. Where are the other 9 billion? Is what any asks himself. And the answer is they're on search, right? So now I don't think we can ignore search as a medium, even though many people think they can. And again, I'll put the proviso down. I'm a great disliker of websites and search today because there's a lot of noise, bots, things that are not human that can't buy anything. But still, I think we have to cater for the way AI search works in terms of the content that we share, right? So help us make sense of that conundrum. How do we be on search, number one, and then also be on social, and also be on whatever else we want to be on. How do we make sense of the world, this multi-channel world that we live in, really?
Okay. So that's why when we started this conversation, I was talking about understanding Attending the language of every social media platform, staying true to your core topics. So if you do something on LinkedIn, that's still your business when you are on Substack and when you are on any other platform. So what you have to extrapolate out of your existing content, wherever it is living, is that framework and that methodology, the thing that has been consistent over time. Now, if you've been producing content for a while, it's like, oh God, I've written so many things. Right? Good news, AI is here. Just grab those materials and samples of them and put them into a good AI chatbot. Gemini is very good at doing this. And just say, based on all that you see here, don't give it too many things. Give them 5 pieces at a time or 10 pieces at a time. Based on what you see here, what would you define my framework, right? And my core content. See if you agree with it, first of all, uh, because AI makes mistakes. And if it misunderstood, if you think you're misunderstood by what it says, just go back to it and say, "Hmm, actually, this is my goal, and this is the content I've been producing." And then you'll come out with the solution and the right verbiage. Once you have it and you feel it, that this represents you and it represents what you've been producing thus far, then be consistent with it wherever you are. So, why? Because it is in those searches. People are searching for a solution, for a framework, and for answers. And that language needs to be repeated wherever it is that you're producing content. If you have a website, the language needs to be right there at the very beginning. The meta tag test, they call it, if you build a website by yourself a couple of times or you try, right? That nice headline, that description of your website, that it's what is getting scanned immediately. So make sure that there is a clear sentence there that defines what it is, that why they landed on this page, why they're here. That same sentence needs to live in a very visible part of whatever profile or whatever platform you're using. It could be that about. Part of it could be in the headline, and consistently needs to be in your newsletters and the content that you're beginning to produce. Sometimes it doesn't make sense, so you must skip a post or two, but consistently put it there. So that now will begin to get recognized and associated with your name. But it only makes sense if it answers the specific question that your ideal client is asking to find you. And I say specific. Don't say like, how do I build my personal brand? Oh, this is how you build your personal brand. That's too generic, right? So maybe it is nice for somebody that was this type of specific professional, or somebody that is transitioning from nursing to being somebody that gives advice online, on how to care for somebody very specific, maybe elderly people or children or people with a disability. So those kind of things. That's how specific we have to be, and we have to keep consistent at it. So there are several parts. This is a footprint that you're building and generating, right? You might already have built a footprint and you don't know. If you look for your stuff and you start coming up in some searches, great, right? Then if you find out, if you know what it is, stick with it. But if you don't have one, here's the good news. A website is great, but it takes time to be able to be indexed and build the footprint there, right? So you want to make sure that that part is very clear and is probably more important than keywords. If you have several pages on that website, it needs to be in all of them. It needs to jive. It cannot be one page has this kind of verbiage and this language, and the other page has completely different kind of language. It needs to align, and so does your social media. Now there are platforms like LinkedIn, and Substack is another one, but LinkedIn is super great at it and has been great at it for a while, where if you do it right, that you really have the right headline and the right description, and then you produce the content consistently, you get indexed a lot faster. you know what you who you are and what you do gets picked up a lot faster. So you know, if you have to start somewhere, I always tell people start with LinkedIn, build a presence there, then add the website if you want, but make sure that whatever you start with, if it's LinkedIn, it's LinkedIn, if it's something else, it's something else. Make sure that whatever you start with, it becomes a semantic roadmap. Those words, those sentences, those questions that you're answering, they gotta be everywhere. Even if it's in another format with a different type of article, whatever it is, you have to find a way to put those things in there. If you do that consistently over time, 3 to 6 months, it will surface. And right now we are at an advantage point. People complain about I'm not visible, the algorithm, my network used to see me, now they don't see me. But it's not just happening on LinkedIn, it's happening everywhere. Even some websites have reported, their visibility, dropping after that they've done so much marketing campaigns and investments. And it is because they're still looking on Google, but they're looking elsewhere too. They're searching, they're asking questions. How do I do this? Who do I go for this? I need to do this within 10 days. How do I solve this? I've been on this platform for a while, and I really need to book some appointments. How do I book those appointments quickly? How do I fill my calendar? Those are the questions people are asking me. People are asking. Those are the questions that I'm trying to answer. So if you do this consistently, you'll be discovered. And don't underestimate the power of the social, especially LinkedIn, because that content is getting surfaced, especially if it's long format, especially if it lives inside an event. That gets discovered ultimately. Back to you, Annie.
I say we do have to go. I'm well aware that Coach Curtis, I see you. Welcome. Glad you're here. June is Men's Mental Health Month, so I won't be surprised if Curtis has some events because he does talk about men's mental health and mental well-being a lot, and in absolute detail. So do connect with him. I'm going to look out for your events. Let me know if there are any. Send me a DM so I can know what's on when. But I think your point, Christina, about being specific, that's so important. Again, what's last part I would say? When I go on YouTube to say, right, I don't ask, about how do webcams work. I don't ask, which camera do I need. I say, right, I've got a model camera. How do I record with it? I'm saying, have those specificity that we need to get to. You have to be very, very clear. And this is probably the biggest thing from today. It is learn what your audience really has a problem with, what you can help them with. And I'll say this. For most of us, we think it's what we do that people want. Then you find, again, someone who helps people with books, you think people want help. And find me some words. No, that's not what they want. What they want is the confidence and the process to create the book and to market the book, to sell the book, right? So it makes sense for me to stick to creating content that speaks to those issues, rather than just generic issues. You can carry on being generic, it takes longer, that's all. A lot longer. Whereas if you can be very specific, you become known as a person who talks about that thing, whatever that thing is, right? Romana, you talk about doctors, maybe doctors in mid-sized hospitals, for example, in which country, who knows? I'm saying, be very specific about the content you're creating, and be consistent. Christina, just be consistent across platforms. Wherever you are, be consistent. Get known for who you are. Now, Coach Sean's perfect example. So, and Curtis, like I just mentioned, Curtis talks about mental health, and he does that across all platforms, even in live events, right? Coach Sean talks about identity. If you ever listen to him, he would know the importance of being in alignment with who you are is his thing. He talks about that on Substack. He talks about that on LinkedIn. He talks about it on every platform here that he goes to. He's even creating an AI app or an AI agent, on that basis too. And be specific, very clear what you are trying to speak to. Look, thank you so much, Christina. Thank you, everyone who's joined us. Coach Curtis, if you have to watch a replay, don't be shy and do engage, like, comment, subscribe, all that sort of stuff, right? And if you watch this on replay, especially on my YouTube, please do like, comment, and subscribe as well. Look, maybe making sense of all this is a challenge for people, right? There's always help out there. So hopefully you have an idea what Christina and I do. The separate parts of the marketing journey for everyone, right? So do talk to Christina if you want help to build your business. If you want help to start your business when you escape the 9 to 5, come to me
You
when you
know,
quit.
Annie.
Go on, please. Feel free.
No, I was thinking about what you just said. Uh, uh, you talked about, you know, solutions what people are asking, right? And do you remember when about 3, 4 years ago, everything was about pain,
Yeah.
making posts
The
about,
pain points.
yeah, you feel like this and everything is so wrong. Now people don't want to hear that anymore. It's like, this makes you feel good. So it's like bypassing the pain. So, you know, you want to write a book, right? And
Yeah.
if you want to write a book, it's like, who's gonna help me write a book? No, like, oh, I don't know how to write a book, and I feel so in pain because I'll never be published. The question is, the people are actually asking is, who do I go to?
Hmm.
Uh, I want to write a book on Amazon, but I tried and I didn't get to bestseller, right? So how do I get to bestseller? Who can help me get to bestseller? So those are the thing, and it's actually people don't want to read about pain anymore.
Yeah, no, it's true. No, yeah. I think that's a very important point to bear in mind, right? So we love comfort zones. Again, I can see Coach Sean dying because he knows the comfort zone is where nothing grows, nothing good happens. Professor Roxana, I see you as well. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Right now, Christina, look, I think everything we said today, there's nothing new. We said be consistent. That's nothing new. Surely you've all known that. We've said talk to your customers and talk about what they want to talk about. That's not new. The pain point, as you just said. This is marketing 101. It's been there forever. Now, the difference I see is that now we can actually do it. For years, it was very hard to do. Without the internet, we couldn't do it. You can talk to your local customers if you wanted to, but that's about it, right? Now you can talk. The data is there. The data is online. The data is everything people do is online. If you want to find data, talk to Christina. She'll help you find data that reverse engineers marketing. I don't want to do that bit. It bores me. Right? I want to help you be visible and stand out like a star, make you famous. What we say, right? Again, nothing we said today is new. Know your customers. Talk about what your customers want to talk about. Be where your customers are. Oh, I tell you, these are marketing 101 rules from the day marketing started, which is the day the earth started, really, right? So just begin to take the right steps because I say, like I say to my friends these days, what you do today, if you do it correctly, if you do the things we just said, this could build your business for the next 20 years. Any other way, you're trying stuff. Don't try stuff. Do the right thing. Talk to your customers. Address your customers' needs. I can't say that enough. It makes my job as a marketer easier because we can actually sell your stuff. Anything else, we're trying stuff, which is experimenting. As you said earlier, Christina, I think Paulette said it earlier. It is just it's a long way to spend your time. My friends, Coach Sean, yes, you should blush. You are the greatest, Coach Sean. I say that much. You are amazing at what you do, and I've told you enough times. Everything you say, I agree with. Again, I think that's a good point for me to leave the conversation today. I could say, Coach Sean talks about alignment, being honest with yourself and being who you really are. maybe that's the answer to our conversation today, really. To build authority across platforms, be yourself. But you have to be very clear who you are. Christina said this right at the beginning. Who are you? What do you do? How do you help? What's your solution? Right? Like when you know all that, the rest of it kind of flows. If it doesn't flow, there's help. Get help, right? So it's nice. So it should be. Go on, Christina. I'll give
You
you the
know,
last.
yes, just my last word is really about you. You know, we talked about things that are changing, what to be aware of, these shifts, all these platforms, which one is the right one for you. But in the end, we also must not forget with what used to work still works. Before you even start saying, "Oh, I want to be on LinkedIn, build my personal brand," what do you need? You need credibility. You need that authority, right? A book does it for you. And then once you have it, does it sit on a shelf, right? Whatever you create, whether it's a book, a video, a course, whatever it is, once you have it, what do you do with it? So then becomes now your core topic, your authority piece. And you gotta keep discussing it. And so Annie does it so well. Create the authority and then keep discussing it on the lives. But one thing that you want to do, the extra step is now is, okay, I'm discussing on the live, I created the authority. How do I package it and put it in other places, right? Now, the next thing that will used to work, still works, is the conversation. It doesn't stop there. People see that and they're going to say, oh, you wrote a book? Oh, I saw you on the live. Well, are you going to just ignore them, ghosting them? Or if they send you a message, you're actually going to have a conversation with them? We do events, right? After the events, are we going to say, hey, I noticed you were at my event. We don't know each other. Thank you for coming, and introduce yourself. Those are the little human steps that still works. They still work.
Totally agree with you. Look, I know your next client is coming up very quickly, so I better let you go. My friends, thank you for joining us. If you miss any bits, please do watch the replay. As Christina said, connect. Connect. DMs is a good way to start the conversation. And if you're serious, Christina will make time to meet with you. I tell you that for nothing, right? I'm more relaxed about my
Same
time.
for Annie. Same for Annie. If you're serious, Annie.
I think I'm more relaxed about my time, but I'm lying, right? So I want to meet you. If you've got a great business idea, it'd be a great solution. Then let's get you out there in front of your target audience, which means finding the right channels, the right places, and the right methods to get your message out there. That's what we talked about today, my friends. Thank you so much for joining us. Look, join us again in a couple of weeks. And then, we should have another topic for you. Look, take care, everyone. Take care. Thanks, Christina. Have a good one.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Yeah, bye, everyone.
And he sees you. He sees you. He sees you. From the children with no voice in borrowed rooms, to the magazines that carry their truth. 25 years of the same steady hand, finding the ones who fell through the cracks of the plan. From Mitcham to Croydon, from London to the world,